Okay, let's just wait the other ones in order to start. Hello, Duda.
Hello, teacher.
I'm just waiting the other students. How are you doing? How are you? Were you
I'm
sleeping?
fine.
Did you forget the class?
No, it's because I slept late last night because I
Why did you go to sleep late?
because yesterday I entered in vacations.
You start the vacation.
Yes.
Good. Now you are going to relax a little. Try to, yes? Try to
Yes,
relax
I
a little.
will. Yes, I have to study, but I want to relax. I think
Are you gonna
about
be at
the
home? Are you gonna travel or no?
I think I'm going to San Luis, but I don't know yet. But it probably is the only place that I go in
Go.
the vacation. Yes.
Do you have how can I say relatives there? You said your father lives there, yes or no? Yes or no? He lives in Caxias
Yes,
and
but
in São
my
Luís.
father just yeah, because he just worked in San Luis.
Mm,
But I have parents. No parents. No, I have but
relatives.
relatives. my my uncle, my aunt, my the brothers of my grandmother lives
Your
there.
it's like the brothers of your aunt, your grandmother are your aunt grandpa or aunt grandma,
Yes.
or uncle grandpa or aunt grandma.
Yes.
Tio avô, tia
Yeah.
avó, são os tios do seu pai, talvez, né? Ou não, I don't
Yeah.
know. É, os tios do seu pai são seus tios avós. É assim que a gente chama.
É?
Ok. É, que é o irmão da sua avó, o irmão do seu
Ah, entendi.
avô. Eles são tios dos seus pais, mas eles são seus tios avós. Ok.
Yes.
Okay, students, let's come back. Let me share the screen again. So we were talking about like sequences of, how can I say, of movies, like Fantastic Beasts that they tells a story before an event. Yes. Okay. Mm, like box office profits will possibly continue to fall in the United States. Fortunately for the movie studios, revenues continue to increase in several overseas markets. So it's like a kind of continuing things. Let me just save it here because Cecile asked the class. So I'm recording to her. Okay. So we have these sequences, but I don't know if it's gonna. Do you like sequences? Depending on the movies, yes. There are some that they have
Yeah,
one,
it
two,
depends.
three,
I
four.
like because we like get involved with the movie, so I think it's
Mhm. Especially when they are based on books. Yes, for example, Harry Potter is really big. the Hunger Games, the Twilight Saga. So they have like the Star Wars, yeah. Like every time I never understand, I will never understand Star Wars because it's like they are doing movies all the time. Okay, like movies that talks about the past, talks about the story and talks about other things, talks about some specific characters of the story. So it's a vastly universe, the Star Wars. Really, really huge. So sometimes I don't understand. I've already seen some movies from Star Wars, but I'm in that kind of state that, okay, I'm watching and I don't know anything. The one that I saw that I liked so much was Dune. Have you ever seen? Dune, it's sci-fi too. I liked the
I'm going
first
to buy the
movie.
books. I'm going to
I
buy the
never
books
watched it.
after
It's
I
really
finish reading
interesting.
the
Yeah, I
two.
want to buy the books too.
The books are really big, yes, really big.
There are six books with more than 1,000 pages.
Pages, yes. Independent filmmakers often go into depth producing their movies. What do you think about this kind of movies? Like they don't have a huge budget, but sometimes the story is interesting. They don't have a lot of effects, but the story is interesting. Like it's a kind of homemade movie, or I don't know. There are some that I like that
Yes,
are
because there are some of them are good, but the most part of them that I don't like it.
probably you
Yeah.
are not gonna find them in the movie theater. You need to download or watch on a streaming, yes? So because they are not so famous. Um, and what do you think about the insertion of more female characters, like in a main role in the movies? Do you like? Do you like to see this empowerment, or do you think it's like sexist or not so the way that you wanted to see women being represented?
Like it's good, but sometimes they like I don't know how can I say they stereotype like a lot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yes,
But
Okay.
I
sometimes
think
there are some main roles that are given to women that are really good.
I think they put like in like extremos,
Mm-hmm.
or the woman of the movie doesn't do nothing, doesn't do anything, or she does everything. She does everything alone, and she's arrogant. She's proud. She's like stubborn. She's like aggressive towards people. So they
Mm-hmm.
always put like that. If the woman, isn't like made like isn't a lady in danger,
Mm-hmm.
then she is arrogant, then she is aggressive and everything. So they put the women in the movies like in these two opposites, or she doesn't do anything, or she wants to do everything and she wants to be over everyone. It's always like that. They don't have like meio termo.
Mm-hmm. And when you watch these movies, do you try to see if it's the director is a woman or if it's a man? Do you think that there's differences when it's a man, when it's a woman? I don't know. For example, I've already watched Wonder Woman. I liked Wonder Woman. Um, it's not that kind of
I like
superhero.
her.
I think it doses like that. It's like some doses of okay. It shows her human part and her superhero part.
I
I
like
think.
it because she's human and she's also powerful. She cares
Hmm.
about people. So she is in that meio termo.
In
She's
the
like,
meantime,
yeah, it's better. It's not like sometimes we see some super heroines that they are like so arrogant. Like I like Captain Marvel. I like her, and I like her movie, unlike many people. But I like it. But sometimes she's a little arrogant, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't like it. That's why a lot of people don't like her. But I like the movie. I like her, but I don't like this part because I think they wanted to do her like powerful, and then they make her arrogant. Like if if being powerful makes you arrogant or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And what about the animations? Do you usually go to the movies to see animations? Do you like animations? These
I
recent
like it.
animations?
I think the recent one that I saw, I think the name of it's Red from Disney.
Ah, yes, I saw this one. I like so much.
Yeah.
I like this so much. It's so funny.
Yes.
And it's interesting because, for example, when we start to grow up, because when we are young, we have a different vision. Yes, when we are a child, you are getting older, you are understanding what I mean, what I'm saying. And when we start to get older, we can see things that when we are young, we can't when we watch an animation. And it's interesting because the animations are made for children, but they are created by adult people. So I think we need to be sensible to those that you will target one people, like the children. You need to target them, and you caught their attention, and you need to caught the attention of the adults too, because the most of the time the adults go to the movies with the childrens to watch together. So I think it's good because, for example, you can have fun like being an adult, even if it's that the target public is not adult people, but you can understand the story, you can laugh. So, for example, this one, Red, that the main character, she is really, really funny. I laughed a
Has
lot,
she has
a lot.
anxiety, right? I've never watched this one, but I want to. She has anxiety, is it?
Yes, she's really funny. She's always getting crazy all the time, all the time. Like her energy is really high, really, really high. And it's the story, it's really interesting too, and I like animations. I like it. We have more freedom to the creators. Yes, I think they have more freedom to put more effects, things that it's difficult to do with humans, you know. So you can do other things like in animation. I really like animations. The one that I like to watch it was, I don't know if it's Encanto in English, but in Portuguese it's Encanto. But
Yes, I know it's really good.
there are some songs from Encanto that I can't handle anymore. I can't handle. I have people around me that likes the songs. So and
It's
sometimes
because
they are
people
playing.
like they don't watch, but they hear the song a lot.
Yes,
I
and
like I like Encanto, but I've watched it a lot because my
yes.
brother likes the songs. So I've like had my share of Encanto.
Mhm.
But I like that other one. So I
I've
like
never seen. I've
so it's
never
good.
seen.
It's
So.
really good. And I used it in an essay last year. It wasn't the NA one, but I used an essay because it has an interesting like theme.
Mhm. Okay, okay, good. And do you have any other notice, any other new, like for the movies, like recent things? I don't know what's gonna be the biggest one. I know Avatar, like that it's gonna be this year. I'm really excited to watch it, to see it on the movies. Avatar 2. Have you ever seen the first one? It's really good, really good. So I think it's the only one that I'm expecting more. But others, I don't know anything about the others. I don't know which will be the first superhero movie from Marvel. I don't know. I don't know. I think the last one was Doctor Strange, but I don't know which will be the next one. Okay. In the vocabulary, we have reacting to movies, okay? So do these adjectives have a positive or negative meaning? For example, cliche. What do you think?
Neutral.
I like a cliche, but it can be negative sometimes.
Yes, but it's kind of a
It
kind
all
of,
depends of the author.
I like.
Somebody else have said
yes.
to me, if it's a cliche, it's because deu certo.
But don't you think that when it's a cliche, for example, don't you think that movies, like genre of movies, they have some cliche characteristics, but we always watch. We know, but we always watch.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. For example, in a romance, we always have the kiss. In an action movie, we are always going to have explosions, these kinds of things. Horror movies, that it's always that part of the chase that the killer is running through somebody and somebody falls down and needs to run. And okay, so formulas that are really common, I think it's cliche. But I think when it's cliche, too cliche, it's when we have these things exaggerated a lot, too much. For example, have you ever seen the movie? It's a horror movie. It's called O Segredo da Cabana. It's a cliche movie, but it's really interesting, the end of the movie.
Oh,
Really
it's really
interesting.
good. Like the ending, the part is really good. We
Yes,
don't expect it.
it's like a horror trash movie with the elements. They put it because they wanted to put that things. And it's like a kind of heritage, é como se fosse uma homenagem, I think, for the old movies. But the end, it's really interesting. It's totally different. Totally different. Engrossing. What do you think?
I don't know.
It's something that catches you.
Oh, so it's positive.
Yes. Engrossing. It's like catches you. You can't take out your eyes off. Take your eyes off. You can't take your eyes off when you are watching, when you are seeing. Formulaic. Formulaic.
What does it mean?
It's not kind of cliche, but we have that formula. We have a kind of formula. We can predict the actions. You can see like the future when you are watching the movie. You can predict the things. Oh, she's
No.
okay. So it follows a kind of formula. For example, in action movie. So we have some chase parts, we have cars, we have explosions, we have the villain, the hero. So these kinds of things, like it's formulaic. And inspiring. What do you think? Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. I like inspiring books. I really like. For example, I like books that are kind of biographies, you know, that tells the story of somebody. I know that's a lot of lies, but I like. Mediocre. It's negative, of course. Moving.
Positive.
Positive. Predictable.
Negative.
Yes, I think it's negative when it's too predictable. Okay. Riveting.
What is it?
It's like something that it's It's not like predictable. It's kind of predictable, but it's a little predictable, a little formulaic. So you know what is going to happen, and like it follows a formula too. It's something that catches your attention in some parts. Okay, let's see. Let me see the more, how can I say, meanings. I think it's gonna suggest some movies, but not the. Having the power to fix, yes, the attention. Engrossing, fascinating, a riveting story. I think it's like the engrossing too. Yes, engrossing. So it's riveting. It's a good story, and when you are watching, like you are caught by the story, so you are always paying attention because you don't want to lose anything while you are watching. And touching,
Positive.
positive too.
Yeah, positive.
Okay. Movies that make you feel sad, sometimes you cry because they are really touching, sometimes they are sad. Yes. Now, 1B. Movies affect your emotions or bring tears to your eyes. So,
Touching movies.
touching movies. Yes. A or N, movie completely captures your attention. An engrossing or a riveting. Yes, an engrossing movie, a riveting movie. So moving, touching, riveting, engrossing. A or N movie isn't very good and probably not worth watching.
Mediocre.
Yes, mediocre, predictable. A movie, if its plot is obvious and you can guess the ending.
Predictable.
Cliche, yes, cliche, formulaic, predictable. And it's interesting that it's not happens when we are young because we are having contact with movies for the first time. But while you get older students, it's difficult to watch some movies because they are really formulaic and really predictable. So when you start to watch, we know what is gonna happen. Okay, it's gonna have this, that. So when you are children, or for example, there are some. Have you ever seen some movies that you started to watch when you were younger, like horror movies? For example, I've already seen, like now, horror movies that I used to watch when I was younger, and I was like completely, totally afraid. I couldn't sleep. And when I watch it again, like today, I think like, my goodness, how I got like scared with this movie. Okay, do you have the same feeling? So some things that you watch when you were younger that you felt really bad or afraid, and when you watch it again when you are older, you think, my goodness, you laugh. It's not a horror movie, it's a comedy movie.
When I was a child, I really feared that one. I don't know the title in English, but it's Chuck, o Brinquedo Assassino.
Chunky.
Chucky.
Okay, Chuck. Okay.
When I was a child, I was really afraid of it. And nowadays, my goodness.
But I like, yes, but I like to watch a Chuck. I like to watch the first ones because it's cult for me. It's funny, but it's cult, I like to watch because it's like classic. there are some movies that are really classic, okay, and I like to watch, even if I don't feel anything anymore, but I like to, because, for example, I really like horror movies from the 80s. They are grotesque, different, so I like, and I laugh a lot when I watch them. I laugh so much. Okay, questions until here?
No.
Oh, let's go on. Now, in our grammar, we have the sentence adverbs. Okay, let me just show you the slides, the PowerPoint. So the sentence adverbs. So in English, when we are studying this part of the structure of the language, we are going to see in advanced English, because these structure students, they use, but it's like when they have advanced structures, it's not so common, like daily, to use this kind of things. But it's important to know because one time or other, we will probably hear or see. And for each part of speech, they have kinds of different sentences. For example, if you have a noun, it's a noun sentence. If you have an adjective, it's an adjective sentence. If you have an adverb, it's an adverb sentence, and so on. They have these structures in the language, and when they have this part of speech in this structure, the part of speech that I said are structures that they made the language. For example, in Portuguese, verbos, artigos, interjeições, preposições. So these, how can I say? These structures, they build the language. That's why we say part of speech, because in order to talk, in order to write, we need these structures in a language. So the sentence adverbs, they are, of course, made with adverbs. So they modify a whole sentence, not just part of it. So many adverbs can be used in this way. So this kind of sentences, they express the speaker's attitude, opinion, or reason that it's in speaking. So we have certainty, less certainty, and possibility and probability. So when we are talking, we have these levels of certainty. For example,
Teacher, I saw one article that using these kind of types of advérbio, they enfraquecem a oração.
yes, there
Right?
are some. Mhm. Yes, there are some people, for example, some writers that they say that it's not so good to use adverbs. Okay, so try to use in another way instead of using a lot of adverbs.
Locuções.
Mhm.
Normally, I give away to or I read the phrases, or I stop the locution. Make a locution, adverbial locution instead of using the adverb.
Mhm. For example, I try to use like, I try to change, for example, em português. Claramente, ao invés de falar, eu prefiro falar de maneira clara, ou de forma clara, you know? It's like this that I do.
De
Instead,
certo.
yes, instead of use the adverb. So the certainty we have clearly, definitely, obviously, unquestionably. Okay, for example, unquestionably, studios are interested in producing a lot of movies about superheroes, a lot more movies about superheroes. It's like inquestionavelmente, okay? So less certainty, we have apparently, seemingly, supposedly. Seemingly, there have been more women casting leading roles in successful movies. Like that, as you can see, so you can use this. As you can see, that have been more. Possibility and probability. possibly, potentially, probably. So box office profits will possibly continue to fall in the United States. Talking honestly and directly. So we can use frankly, honestly, seriously, and honestly, I hope that having more courageous heroines will be a trend that lasts and not just a passing fad. Summarizing something like basically, essentially, fundamentally, mainly, overall. In other attitudes, we have amazingly, surprisingly, not surprisingly, predictably, fortunately, unfortunately. Students, if you see, as you can see, seemingly, as you can see, we have the adverb, and then in the adverb sentence, we have the adverb and a comma. So questionably, comma, seemingly, okay? When it's in the beginning of the sentence, like here, it's not in the beginning, but we have this pattern when it's the beginning of the sentence, you know? Honestly, overall, not surprisingly, so we have the comma, a virgula, in order to have the other sentence. So to express the speaker's attitude about the entire sentence, sentence adverbs are mostly often located at the beginning of the sentence instead of by a comma. So that's what I have just talked about. So predictably, the hero of the movie won the heart of the girl. Sentence adverbs can be used in place of longer clauses that modify a sentence. So people were amazed that the movie sold 26 million tickets on its opening weekend. Amazingly, the movie sold. So in order to short, like not to be a longer clause, so you can use them. Okay. Nobody was surprised that, not surprisingly, the sequel was also extremely popular. Questions that you hear? No?
No.
So the following conjunctive adverbs link a sentence with a preceding idea. So a conjunctive adverb are parts of speech that are used to connect one clause to another. So they are also used to show sequence, contrast, cause and effect, and other relationships. For example, we have accordingly, consequently, indeed, meanwhile, otherwise, thus. So the coming attractions ended and the movie began. Accordingly, the audience fell silent. Okay. Now open your Grammar Plus. So in the exercise, we have rewrite the sentences, use sentence adverbs to replace the bold-faced words. For example, it's apparent to me that movies with cliched storylines are still very popular. So here, apparently, yes? Okay, let's modify just the adverb. True, it's fortunate that, what do you think?
Fortunately.
Fortunately.
Yes, fortunately, I'm being honest when I say that.
Honestly.
Honestly, nobody can question the fact that,
Unquestionably.
yeah, unquestionably, I think, unquestionably, inquestionavelmente, okay, unquestionably, it was bad luck that,
Unluckily.
unluckily. The students, I'm reading like the first parts in bold, and I'm like, they don't say this. It was bad looked at. Probably they don't use these structures. In essence, no, they are going to use the adverb. Unfortunately, yes, in essence, what do you think? Essentially, if it fulfills its potential, so it's potentially, yes? Potentially. It's obvious to me that,
Obviously.
obviously, I'm being serious when I say that.
Seriously?
Seriously. Who says I'm being serious when nobody. Seriously, it's common. It's more common. Now, complete the sentences with a conjunctive adverb from the grammar box. So sometime more than idea is possible. A growing number of students are watching the movie rather than reading the assigned book. There has been a decrease in the reading skills of graduation seniors. What do you think? Consequently, yes. At the mainstream theater, you sit in front of a table to watch the movie. You are served by waiters who take your order and walk between the rows. What do you think?
So, meanwhile,
Yes, like enquanto isso. Meanwhile, moviegoers are prohibited from texting and talking during the movie. Anyone who violates that policy will be asked to leave.
accordingly,
Thus, accordingly, consequently, indeed. Okay. The most movie stars demand extremely high salaries. The cost of producing movies with big names has risen. Consequently, yes, consequently, thus, accordingly, it's recommended that you buy tickets in advance. You might not get a seat.
otherwise,
Otherwise, yes, you'll not get a seat. Okay. So this exercise 2, I'll left you to do at home. In next class, we'll try to solve it. And let's go on. Let's go to page 38. Let's do the listening. Now, behind all good movies, so look at the movie genres. What elements do you consider essential for each genre? Okay, what do you think it's necessary for an animated movie to be a good movie? What do you think? It has to have in an animated movie.
I think colorful. It has to be colorful. It has to, I think, catch your attention. Has to be at least kind of funny on the beginning, so we can like watch the rest.
and some kind of lesson. I think every animated movie has a lesson.
Mm, yes, the most of them they have a lesson. Sometimes it's are related with love, with respect, with differences. Okay. Yes. Yes, there's always a lesson. I think it's good when it's like the story is good. It's not necessarily how can I say? It's not necessarily something that it needs to have songs, for example. There are some good animations that they are not musicals. I like the musicals sometimes, but I like when the animation there's no music too. Okay, and musicals.
Music,
Yeah, oh yes, no, of course, good
dances,
songs.
dances.
dances, okay?
The song
This
have
should,
to tell a history, a story. It can't be like random.
mhm. Okay, when it drops again, you enter again, okay? We have just 1 minute. Yes, when the story is good, when the characters are well built, um, when there's dances, when the songs are good too, okay, well developed. Yes, romantic company